Welcome back to another video exploring the religion of Buddhism. So in this video, after watching, you should be able to answer this second big question, which is, what are the beliefs, traditions, and customs of Buddhism? At the core of Buddhism lie the Four Noble Truths. These are central tenets to Buddha's teaching. So we'll really start with this central question, which is, if you had to name only one thing about life that is absolutely 100% true, what would it be? Now, when I've asked this question to students in the past, oftentimes you get a pretty positive answer like love or happiness. But Siddhartha Gautama actually started with the opposite feeling, that life is actually full of suffering. One way to think about these Four Noble Truths is to draw a connection to going to the doctor. So if we were to go to Dr. Buddha and we'd ask Dr. Buddha, what is the problem that we all share? Well, what Dr. Buddha said was the one thing that's absolutely true for each of us is that life is full of suffering. Now, what does that mean to suffer? Well, if you remember from Siddhartha Gautama's story, when he left the palace for the first time, he saw human beings who were experiencing old age and sickness and death. Each of those things are inevitable. We all will experience old age in our life and sickness and death. Now, so the second noble truth, if that's the problem that we all suffer, then what causes us to suffer? And what Siddhartha said was the cause of suffering is desire, right? The cause of all suffering is desire. So in what ways do we desire? What exactly does this mean? Well, it means that we have this insatiable desire for really three things, which is pleasure, power, and possessions, right? We all want greater pleasure in our life, right? Once you start going out with that boy or girl that you wanted to, all of a sudden you start looking around and saying, I'm really more interested in this person or that person. The desire for power, money, wealth, possessions, right? You get that new phone and all of a sudden immediately you want another one. Is desire always bad? A lot of the critique of Buddhism suggests that desire is always a bad thing. And when you actually stop and reflect, desire in many ways can be very positive in one's life. So the third noble truth, if the problem that we all experience is suffering and the cause of that suffering is desire, well, how do we eliminate suffering? We just have to eliminate our desire. So the way to end all suffering is to end all desire. Now that we have an idea about how we get better, we ultimately need a prescription though. And that's where the fourth noble truth comes in. Can you give us a prescription, Dr. Buddha? The fourth noble truth provides that prescription. So the way to overcome desire is to follow the Eightfold Path to enlightenment. So what is the Eightfold Path? Well, the Eightfold Path provides the moral and ethical code to Buddhists. It establishes 8 core behaviors essentially that Buddhists must practice and follow, including having right view and understanding your place in the world, having right intention, doing the right thing in the right situation, speaking kind words and having right speech, engaging in right action, doing good deeds to other people, engaging in right livelihood, so having jobs that are meaningful and helpful, establishing right effort, always being motivated and moving to do things that are helpful, establishing right mindfulness, which means that you have that right mindset, and then finally right concentration, so having that inner focus on those things that are ultimately good. So I want to do a real quick review of Hinduism and Buddhism by doing a Venn diagram. So if you got a question asking about similarities and differences, here are some things you could discuss. A founder in Hinduism, think back, was there a founder of Hinduism? No. What about Buddhism? Yes. And so one distinction is there's no founder in Hinduism, whereas in Buddhism we have a founder, Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha. Place of origin, is that a similarity or a difference? I think that would be a similarity. They both started in India. Places to which they spread. So I think this would most likely fall in the difference category because Hinduism really stayed in India. It does spread briefly to Southeast Asia, but by contrast, Buddhism really spreads. It leaves India and it goes to East Asia, Southeast Asia, Japan, Korea. In terms of gods, belief in gods, Hindus, remember, believed in multiple gods, but they also had that one universal energy force, the Brahman. Whereas in Buddhism, they don't really take up the question of gods. It's focused more on the here and now. Caste system That's again another big difference. So Hindus believe in the caste system. They believe that it structures one's place in society, one's job, who one could marry, who one could eat with. Whereas Buddhists, they reject the caste system. Reincarnation. This is a similarity. Both Buddhists and Hindus believe in a soul that gets reincarnated into new bodies once one dies. Karma. So this is a similarity in that they both believe in the concept of karma, but they both believe that you can earn it in different ways. So Hindus believe that you earn good karma by doing your dharma. So you earn good karma by doing your dharma, your duty in the caste system, by following your role in society. Buddhists believe that you get good karma by following the Eightfold Path, right? And that ultimately leads you closer to the goal. So in both religions, they have this sort of goal, which is the release from the cycle of reincarnation. Hindus call that goal moksha. Buddhists call it nirvana. As a result of watching this video, you should be able to answer these big questions, which is, what are the beliefs, traditions, and customs of Buddhism? You should also be able to start to make some comparative statements about Hinduism and Buddhism. Thanks for watching.